StitchyTube, settle down and watch StitchyTube. Hello, StitchyTube, number 30. Hard to believe we're at lucky number 30 already. I think it's probably been about a year at least since I started making StitchyTubes. I guess I maybe missed my anniversary, but that's all right. I didn't have a lot of questions this week that were things that I hadn't answered before. Let's see if I can make myself look a little brighter. And so, but one of the questions that I've been getting from people is, what's going on with the zine? Because November is when I had said I wanted my next one to come out. I think that's what I said. And I'm working on it. And we got some really cool things coming up in the zine, including a reproduction of a sampler called Cecilia Smith, 1841. And there are a couple things I need. I need more pictures of people with samplers that they've stitched. I've asked for those in the past, so if you'd like to send me a picture of yourself with a sampler that you've stitched, I'd love to include that. And it can be a reproduction, but it doesn't have to be. It can be just an original sampler that somebody designed or one that you did. And then if you have any information about upcoming like needlework events or group meetings, it doesn't matter if it's just localized to your area. People have kind of started to ask if I would consider including gatherings, events, expositions, shows at local museums with samplers or needlework, that kind of thing. So if you've got an event coming up, something you'd like to not even necessarily advertise, but just kind of get the word out there that it's going on, I'd like to start including those in the zine too. I also have got an article that will be with Tinka from Victorian Rose Needle Arts. She's got a lovely Etsy shop, and I sell her patterns in my shop as well. She's a kind of more of a newcomer to the reproduction scene. And next year I'm working on something with Kathy Barrick, and I'm hoping to make it the year of Kathy Barrick. And so there will be something about her, an article about her, and something in each issue celebrating her. She's one of my favorite designers, and she's reproduced a bunch of samplers and just has a great look. And so that's that. So it's in the works. I don't have a promised date as far as when it'll be done. It'll be done when it's done, and that's one of the cool things about publishing something online. Oh, Zero. Oh. He says, Mom, he'll hold me like a baby. Here, we'll tip it because I know you guys like to see Zero. All right. How's that? Is that nice? Yeah. So since I didn't have so many questions, I'm just going to go on to the next thing, which is what I'm all into. And one of the things, there goes that foot. There goes the foot. One of the things that I'm all into is the Netflix series, The Haunting of Hill House. My son Harrison recommended it couple weeks ago, and he said, you really should watch it. I think you would like it. It's a series. I think there might be like 10 parts or something. And so I kind of binge watched that, and it was a perfect week to watch it with Halloween because it's kind of a spooky show. It was very well done, well acted, very well produced, like just really very well done, and scary, creepy, a few jump scares. It was a great show. I will warn you that I don't think there's any nudity, but there's swearing, and there are some kind of adult situations, so it's nothing you would really want to let your kids watch, or if that's something that you don't care for, you might want to skip it. But if you like spooky shows, it's very, very good. Timothy Hutton plays the father, the older father, and then the guy who played Elliot in E.T. plays the younger father. And I kept looking at him, I was like, I feel like I know who he is, but I never would have guessed who it was. So anyway, check it out on Netflix. It's a Netflix series. I'm all into the Fisker's Punch, Zero. Have you heard about it? We're going to try to grab it here. And do I have... Oh, here are my things. So I think Jen got one of these punches. And maybe Lori did at Mischievous Stitches, but I got one at Joann's. And I've bought in the past the Hobby Lobby brand. It's maybe called the Paper Company, or I don't remember what it's called. The Fisker's brand is more expensive. However, I'm finding that it's really just a much better quality. It's probably going to last a lot longer. It's easier to use. It's heavier. The metal parts on the inside seem to match up better. One of the cool things about this Zero is that there are a couple of added little tool things with this. So What do you think? You want to smell it? Yeah, okay. So one of the cool things about this is that the end here, that slot, you can put your perfectly formed thing into the slot and it'll punch that center hole in the same spot every time. So you don't have to get a separate hole punch. And I just used for this big hole, because it just punches a solid tag. Then I use this little punch that I got, a 3/4 inch punch, to just punch out that little hole. And they turn out really nice. And then what I do with Zero is I keep a stack of these next to where I'm stitching. And if I've opened a new skein of something and I need to pop it on a thread drop, I've got a pen there and a pack of these. Also into your feet and my face. Let's put this down here. Okay, another thing that I'm all into is these Gap sweaters. It's called an open front cardigan. And I got 3 or 4 of these recently on Gap Factory. And even if you're not like a Gap person, it's a very, very plain sweater. It's cotton. I believe it's cotton. Let's see what it is. I don't want to misspeak. I've got it pulled up here. It is, yeah, 100% cotton. And it's, let's put you down. So they wash up really great. Like you can just throw them in the washing machine and the dryer and they still look brand new. You can also order them in long, which I like because as a taller person, a lot of times shirts and things feel really short on me. And I like a long sweater anyway. It would be my preference. Oh, Zero. Such a baby. So I'm going to put the link to those down here because they're really inexpensive. I got them on sale. It was maybe like $17 or something. I think right now they're $29.99 and they're worth every penny. I think it'll last years and years. It's something that you could even wear with your PJs or, with your jeans, or you could dress it up. Really practical. They have about maybe 10 colors. So I would highly recommend that. I'm all into asking for help and accepting help. At least I'm trying to be. Historically, I've not been very good about letting people help me when they offer or asking people for help. And I think, there probably are a lot of us that do that you kind of don't want to inconvenience somebody, or you're like, no, I can totally take care of that myself. And sometimes it's probably just foolish pride where you're like, well, you think I can't do that? And I think when someone offers to help you, it's a gift. And I think it's good to just accept those little gifts when they come. So if somebody says, can I do that for you, or can I help you? Just say yes every single time. If you just make it your goal to just always say yes, you're letting that person give you something, but also they feel good, because it helps. When you help someone, it feels good to help them, whether they're appreciative or not. And you need to let people do that for you too. So I'm all into making an effort to do that. I'm all into clipboards. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but you can see there on top of the shaker box some projects that I'm working on. The charts are there. I had a couple of just kind of those brown, they're kind of brown paper colored clipboards. They're probably $2 or $3. And I use those to hang on to my charts while I'm stitching. I can set it on my lap or prop it up next to me. I don't have a chart stand, and that's not something that I really am interested in having. I've always worked with a pattern on my lap. And this is just a way of keeping those patterns stiff and supported and not floppy. Because a lot of charts come, where they're printed on paper and they come in a bag. This way they stay really nice. I'm thinking I may do a little craft project and decorate some of them with Mod Podge. Have you heard of Mod Podge? It's very mod. What's Podge? I don't know where Podge comes from. But to use some cool scrapbooking paper and maybe like tear it. I thought it would be hilarious to like burn the edges. Remember, like in the 70s, people would like get a greeting card and they'd trim it out and then they'd burn the edges and then they'd Mod Podge it to a little board and hang it in the bathroom. Anyway, it might be fun to decorate them. Maybe it's our next, people are into project bags and making, these kind of tags. Maybe decorating these little things will be like, the new rage. So that's what I'm all into. Is that what I'm all into? That's what I'm all into this week. Okay, I did work on a couple of pieces this week. Nothing... I guess... so there were 3 things that I worked on this week. And one of them, Zero, was the Salem Village piece by... I hate to do this, Z. Here, just sit in my lap for just 1 minute. He's like, what? What? This is by Not Forgotten Farm. It's called Salem Village. I'm stitching this on a piece of the fabric I've dyed. I think it's might be grunge or something. And I think it's turning out really cute. I had stitched in the moon and the star with Guacamole, Weeks Dye Works, because I was out of DMC 734, and I was like, you know what, I'll just sub. And I pulled them out because I didn't like it. Okay, so here's my theory on, right now, I feel like when you've got hand-dyed fabric that's splotchy and spongy, I'm less interested in having really variegated looking thread, because I feel like it gets real busy looking. So I like stitching in DMC or Anchor when the fabric's got a lot of personality. And so I took those out, and I'm going to stitch them back in. I stopped and got DMC 734 at Hobby Lobby. It's nice to know that Hobby Lobby still stocks all of the DMC. Another thing that I worked on this week was Kathy Barrick's, okay, I set you down again, I'm sorry. Village at Hawk Run Hollow. So I worked on the second part, the Reverend Isaiah Cook. And she said in her notes that she misspelled Isaiah. She didn't realize it until the model was already stitched and probably framed. And so she said it was kind of too late to fix it. I left the misspelling because I think it's cool. I've been working on these willow trees, and I totally botched it. It was like a, so just here, let me show you what the tree looks like. And you would think, I kept getting lost. I would like start a line, and then I'm like, wait, which one am I on? It's 6 across on each one. And I was like, oh, this isn't the same. I think they're supposed to be symmetrical side to side. Mine are not. Mine are more random, but I think they look fine. I got kind of frustrated with them, but I was like, you know what? Who cares if it's exactly the same as what she did? So I'm just trying not to get too angry about that. And then the other thing that I'm working on, and I'll put a picture here of what it looks like. It is Gigi R Designs, the Spotted Cow Sampler. And it's a reproduction. And Gigi has a lot of great reproduction samplers. I used to carry them. I don't right now. Maybe I will again soon. But when I was watching The Haunting of Hill House, I went and made the red line, okay? And then what I've got at the bottom here so far then, sorry Z, is these little sheep and part of the grass. And it's been really fun to work on so far. She suggests sampler threads. I really felt like this would look very glowing in silks, and so I'm using what I have. I'm just substituting something close. And I started using these safety pins because it's a multiple page sampler. So next to the little swirly that starts each new page, I put a safety pin just for counting purposes, because I didn't want to make too many of these swirlies. So that was one thing that I did. And now the fabric I'm using on this one is 40 count Ligonier Ligonier probably, by R&R Reproductions. It's a lovely hand-dyed, kind of a gray brown, gray brown. And it's working out really great. I love their 40 count fabric especially, but their colors are very pretty. I've got a color of theirs in my shop right now called Nantucket something. And it's really pretty. It's a neutral brown with a blue cast, which is really unusual. And it's not blue. Like if you showed most people a piece of that fabric, they would go, yeah, it's tan. It's got a blue cast to it. So if you've got something kind of oceanic, or, with a lot of greens and blues in it, I think it would be really nice. It's a very, very pretty color. So I worked on those. And I was going to share an FFO with you. It's not something that I've newly finished, but Bendy Stitchy does her little, if you've ever watched her, at the end of her videos every week, she does a giveaway from pages of magazines that she tears the pages out and sends the patterns to people who enter the drawing for them. And one of them that she showed was this sampler. And I think she had 2 copies of it or something maybe. And so she gave it out But she had so many people who were interested in getting this. And I stitched this, you can see, in 1994, which I would have been 24 years old. And you can see the center of the sunflower was some kind of specialty stitch. Like there's Montenegrin crosses and then some over one, I think. But you could definitely just cross stitch it as well. It's an oldie but a goodie. I did it a long time ago. And if you're looking for it, one way that you might be able to find it, and you might have this, is it's in 101 Best Loved Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. I don't remember which issue it's in. It's one of the issues, but there it is. And I just stitched it, I think, on exactly what they called for, 28 count. 28 count, just natural linen. And so you may be able to find this book pretty inexpensively on eBay, or find somebody who's reselling it on Amazon. It's a great book. It's got a lot of really cool projects in it. I've stitched a good number of the things in here. It's got this really cool Spanish sampler. See that? There's a whole section of samplers. Let me just, as long as I've got this here, I'm going to show you, because it's got these that I know people are stitching too. This one with the bee, or the butterflies, but then there's the one with the bees is in here too, I think, and I've stitched that. Is it here somewhere? Well, I thought it was here somewhere. And then they've got a section of samplers somewhere. I stitched this one once upon a time for my parents for their wedding anniversary. Sensational samplers. Oh yeah, see, there's the bee one. And it's really cute. I have not stitched that one, but I have stitched parts of it for different things. It's very pretty. And here are a couple of other samplers. There's a Dutch one with a ship and kind of a Quaker style sampler. And it's got a lot of really great projects. Some of them are actually from Treasures in Needlework magazine. So that's really cool. Let me look, as long as we're here, as long as we got you. I'm going to just look on Amazon and see if you can actually get, hold please, 101 Best Loved Designs from Cross Stitch and Country Crafts. Okay, so right now I'm seeing that you can get it for about 20 bucks on Amazon, from starting at $20. And then let's try eBay. 101 Best Loved Designs, Cross Stitch and Country. Let's see if there's any listings here. $34.90. Ooh, $100. Don't buy the $100 one. $34.95. Oh, so I mean, that one obviously maybe is in some demand then, because I know last time I looked for it, it was like a couple dollars. They couldn't hardly give it away. But it might be one that you look out for, or whatevs. So I just wanted to share that sampler just because people had been talking about it and requesting it from Bendy. Okay. Okay, it's kind of just an update of what I've been up to this week. I was going to shoot a Stitch With Me video last Saturday and post it Saturday night. And I just was kind of in a funk last weekend. You know how you just kind of get the blues sometimes, and you're just like, you just don't feel like it. And I tried to rev myself up for it, and I was like, you know what, you don't have to. And so I just watched scary shows and stitched and sulked for a little bit. It's fine to do that. So I wasn't going to be in very good company last weekend. Hopefully I'll shoot another one tomorrow and have that posted Sunday. But I have been working on designing a piece called A Savior's Praise this week. It's big. It's a big old sampler. And I'm going to put a picture right here. I've got some model stitchers lined up, and somebody said that she'd be willing to do this one. It's I'm just including a snippet of it. It's very big. It's got a lot of really cool motifs, and the border looks super fun to stitch because it's every little nook and cranny of the border is different. I've got words thrown in. One of the little swirls has a ship in the water in it. There are animals. There's all kinds of, every little section is different. Nothing is repeated. And so it's just different. And I think it'll make the border really fun to stitch. I oftentimes dread doing borders because I just feel like it's really repetitive and not very interesting. I'm getting ready next Saturday to take a quilting class with Jen down at the Fabric Dock in Wiggins, Mississippi. And she's got just a darling shop. I'm hoping to do a walkthrough of her shop and put it up next time I make a video. But it's a quilting class, and you're supposed to get like a layer cake. And I've kind of been vacillating between getting a layer cake and just using fabric I have. I think I'm going to just go through my fabric and see what I've got. And I have two ideas. One of them is to just use, I know I've got a few like fat quarter packs from Blackbird Designs. And so I may create a layer cake doing that, just pulling Blackbird's fabrics that I've got. But also, I've thought about creating just an ugly sampler. I have all kinds of just weird fabric with like robots and cats and cooking eggs. And I thought it might be really funny to just do a weird one. I don't know yet. We'll see. But then the following, I want to say Tuesday or Wednesday, they have a class on making vinyl project bags, a vinyl front project bag. And I think I'm going to go take it. The price of the class is, I want to say it's free. It might be free. And it seems like it's something that they maybe do regularly. It's called like Coffee and a Project or something. And so it will involve driving, 35 minutes or so, or 40 minutes. So I'll have to get up nice and early because I think the class starts at 9. I mean, it's not that early, but I'll just have to get ready and go. And it'll be nice for me to like take a class on how to do it. I'll be interested to see like what their technique is. And, I've made some project bags. I want to make more, but I would like to learn better how to do that. What else have I been into doing? I had a landscaper come this week and work on our flower beds in the front. They were terrible. I don't like to garden. I don't like it. I like gardens. I think they're very pretty. I think Priscilla's gardens are lovely, but it's kind of fun to plant things, and then the rest of it is terrible. I don't like weeds. I don't like bugs. I don't like dirt and humidity. Here it's so hot in the summer. I don't like it. And so I think just twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, I'm going to have this guy come and just clean it out. He put down some weed barrier and knocked a bunch of things out. I did get 2 mums this week because they'll grow here for a little while. And so Harrison helped me by planting those into our urns in the front. And so I've got some beautiful purple mums. So we did that. I caught up a little bit on FlossTube this week. I'm still watching videos of people from the Midwest Stitchers Retreat. And I'm still reading Moby Dick, which is still really good. All right, I had drawings last time. Lucy Dunning, that was the sampler that I accidentally repurchased. Do I have it here somewhere? I think I do. I think it's right here. It's this one here. And I accidentally purchased this for the second time at Stitchville. And the winner of that is Colette Kingsley. And she actually went to the Midwest Stitchers Retreat, so that's really cool. So she actually was probably at Stitchville and didn't realize that I was buying something for her from there. The question last time was, how do you organize your charts? And quite a few people, like Colette, said that they use the Cross Stitch app, and that they, it went everywhere from like, I've downloaded it and I've started to like, I'm a diehard Cross Stitch app user. People seem to really be into it. Only apps I really use on my phone are like the Hobby Lobby coupon, Words with Friends, and I like the news. I read the news. I don't use apps that much. Some people had like complicated, very involved like spreadsheets and booklets that they keep track. And then a good number of you are like me, where you're just like, I don't have any rhyme or reason to how I organize, and that's cool too. I also last time did a give up, don't want to do it. And the give up was the Flock by Samsara. All I had left to do was the legs. And Rebecca Rees is the winner of that. And so Rebecca, I'm super pleased to pass that project on to you. Both of you guys can find my email address below and just contact me with your address. Rebecca said that she got some Paula Reds last week too, Paula Red apples, and she said she loved them. So that's really cool. All right, so those ladies are going to receive something fun in the mail from me. The next drawing is this was another like accidentally got it twice kind of thing. Now this was one of the giveaway giveaways in the, you know, the giveaway pile at the retreat that I went to. This wasn't something that like I snatched the first day or anything. It kind of sat in there for a while and I loved it. An American Sampler by Shepherd's Bush. The matting is really pretty. But I was like, ooh, I love that one. Well, I love it so much that I had already bought it somewhere. So I'm going to give it away. And that's the next giveaway sampler. You can see like two in a row, Therese. The next drawing, the question is, what are you all into right now? I always like hearing, you know, on other videos and comments from you guys about what you're into too. Sometimes you find really good things that you're like, oh, I didn't know that you could be into that, and I like it. So tell me what you're into. It doesn't have to be stitching related. It can just be things like a sweater, whatever, shoes, ice cream. I mean, we're all into ice cream, right? So that's for the next drawing. All right. I have an announcement to make, and I announced it sort of on Instagram last week. We, at the retreat, raised $3,300 for the shelter, and I think I told you guys that that money was going to be used to treat heartworm-positive dogs and do some FIV testing for cats and treatments and things. And so literally that money went to saving lives, which was really great. When I went to the shelter with the money, I was talking to Ginny about, you know, things that are going on, and she said that they had this project that they want to work on, but that they, you know, kind of needed help raising funds. And so I said, well, I got all these stitchers that are into animals, and I think just the collective combined goodness of everybody, I think we can help you do it. They want to build an enrichment station. So the shelter has come a long way in the last 5, 6, 7 years. It's just gotten, you know, cleaner, better, more progressive, better equipment, better facility, you know, maintenance, things like that. But it's a constant struggle. And one of the things that they've really worked on the last number of years is creating enrichment activities for animals that are at the shelter. And that enrichment just means playtime, essentially. Playtime, giving dogs and cats something to do that's interesting and fun. And the reason that you want to do that is to keep them happier while they're at the shelter. Animals that are at the shelter and are sad and bored and lonely get sick, actually. And also they don't get adopted very quickly because they're the animals that, you know, kind of hunker down and look sad, and people, you know, like people want, when they, you know, go to the gate to see, you know, a dog or a puppy, they want that animal to come wagging its tail to the gate. Well, they're not going to do that if they're, you know, just kind of stressed out and bored. And so what they've been doing is keeping their enrichment supplies and preparation station next to the washer and dryer. And there are old cabinets in there, and they're made out of wood and they're painted. And, you know, one of the things you want to do in a shelter, especially a high volume one like ours, is keep things sanitized and clean. So Jenny has sent me a picture of what they're looking for as far as new kind of storage and a preparation station for the shelter. And this will keep things cleaner. It'll keep things more organized. It'll keep things out of the laundry room. Really, you don't want... The laundry room is full of dirty laundry. And dirty laundry at a shelter means germs and things like that. So keeping this all separate will keep the animals healthier, happier, and it'll make just a lot easier for the volunteers and the folks at the shelter to work on those enrichment activities with the animals. So this is a soft opening because I've got other things that are going to be planned out over the next 2 months that will come out, you know, kind of week to week. But right now what I'm going to post is a link down below to the main donation page. We want to try to raise $7,500, which seems like a lot of money, but there are, I think, 4,500 of you subscribe to me, which means everybody would have to donate $2 to help, which is totally doable. So if you want to make a donation flat out, the donation page is there, and the cool thing is that we're going to be able to keep track from day to day where we're at. The amount is going to fill up. I also am going to put a link below to an Amazon wish list. So if you'd rather contribute something, there are a whole bunch of toys and like peanut butter and different things that they're going to need for the enrichment activities. And so you can actually just, if you shop on Amazon, you can just shop and have it sent directly to the shelter. So those are 2 ways to help this week. And like I said, it's just kind of a soft start because there are some different things I want to do over the course of the next 60 days or so. That's our goal, is within 60 days to have raised the $7,500 that's needed. Thank you. All right. I didn't do a list of 10 last time, but I did one today. And I was like, I gotta think of a list of 10. And I noticed that already in a lot of other floss tube videos, people are making plans for 2019. And it's funny because you hit Halloween and then it's like at midnight it's Christmas already. Because like if you go to the stores, all the Christmas stuff is out and everybody's ready to go. So I guess it's a good time to like start thinking about what you want to do for 2019. And I've heard people make different resolutions as far as, you know, what they'd like to do. And so I came up with 10 ideas of things you could do. Some of these were things that other people talked about. Some of these are just things I kind of thought of. And so the first one is to do one new start every month. And Dina from Half Stitch Cross Stitch, I'll put a link below. Make a note. She is so sweet. She already has planned out 12 projects that she's going to start in 2019. And she went through her last video and showed each one and kind of talked about it. And so I think that's really cool. I think if I was doing this idea, I really like to kind of be in the moment. Sometimes you just know what you want to work on. Maybe something new has come out or you went through your stash and you found something. So it would be cool to do one new start a month. Just whatever you felt like starting. Number 2 is no new purchases. Just like kind of a stitch from stash year. And Bendy Stitchy is the one who talked about this that I saw. But she said that there's already people talking about starting a pool, like an office pool, about what day she'll actually bow out and break down and buy something. And she's already kind of putting stipulations on like, well, I know this might happen and I might want to do this. But, you know, you could make it a goal to just work on things that you've got, make a schedule or don't make a schedule, but just keep all of your works in progress handy and try to just work with what you've got. Do substitutions with threads instead of going out and buying new ones, or substitute fabric instead of buying new fabric. So that could be a goal for you too. Number 3 is focus on a finish. And my friend Jen always talks about focusing on a finish, and I think it's really great. There's this technique I read one time about paying off credit card debt. And they said one good way to do it is to look at your credit. Like let's say you had 5 credit cards and they all have different amounts on them. They said if you want to pay them off, set an amount of money that you can pay every month on all 5 cards. Pay the minimums on 4 of them, and then the rest of it needs to go to the one with the lowest balance. So basically you're paying off the lowest one first so that you get rid of that payment, and then you go and then you have 4 left. So you do minimums on 3, and then the rest of that money that you have every month for credit cards you dump onto that card. And so you could do the same with your cross stitch projects, where you maybe like take them out, try to just ballpark like how much time is left on this one, what do I actually have left, and just start with the one with the least amount left on it, and then the next least amount, and then the next least amount, and you can get them all finished that way. I love the idea of focusing on a finish because I think Jen works on other projects, but then she has like one that just kind of sits out all week, that it's like, nope, I'm going to keep stitching on this and keep stitching on it until she gets it done. And I think she said this week that she already has 49 finishes for the year, which is amazing. And I think this would be one that I think I would do, which is just the idea of stitch every day. And for some people, it's like, oh yeah, I already do that. But sometimes it's like sometimes it's easy to like work all day, or like if you go to a job and then you come home and you clean and do all this stuff. Even if it's just 10 stitches, make it a goal to every day pick something up and stitch in it at least a little bit. Number 5 is to pare down your UFOs, which I have started to do myself. Be realistic about what you could finish, what you want to finish, what you don't want to finish, and find a good home for the things that you don't want to finish. But another thing that you could do would be to like look at things where you're like, oh, this is really old. Sit down and say, you know what, I'm going to give myself 20 minutes to work on this and see if this project moves me. And if I still just really am not enjoying it, I'll get rid of it. You might find that even just by picking it up and getting started again, you're like, oh yeah, this is fun. I like this. And so really it's just that idea of getting used to working on the projects that you've already started. Number 6 is to try something new. So like a new technique, a new fiber, a new fabric, a new designer. You could try even an alternate craft, like maybe you've been cross stitching, but maybe you wanted to try canvas work or needlepoint or punch needle or applique or hooking a rug or freehand embroidery or whatever. To just try something new, get out of your comfort zone. It's fun to push yourself and to learn new things. And you may just really cement in your mind that, no, I really pretty much like cross stitching, but you might also find a new love for another type of project. I'm excited about taking these quilting classes. I've never taken a quilting class. People used to tell me, like when I had my shop, people would be like, do you make quilts? And I'm like, no, I don't make quilts. And they're like, oh, you really should. You would love it. And I'd be like, you know what? Every time I start a new hobby, I have to open a store, so I don't need to quilt. But I think it would be fun. I have a nice sewing machine, and so I'm going to push myself to try something new. Was that number 7? No. Okay, number 7 is to do something social related to your needlework. So take a class if you have a local needlework store. Go to a retreat if it's possible. There are a lot of retreats in all price ranges, and there may be some close to you that you could either drive to, or maybe something that you just live right in the same town. Go to a stitching gathering. Dina was saying that they're having gatherings at their library. If there aren't any gatherings near you, start something so that you can have some social time with other stitchers. If you have friends in town and they cross stitch, you could make it a point, like we do about once a month, we all get together and stitch. But it's kind of just like a craft gathering. So if people are working on something else, like a crochet project or knitting or beading or whatever, people just bring what they want to work on and we just sit and gab. And I think a lot of us who stitch are introverts, at least in some way. And it's funny how when you get stitchers together that there's just a lot of laughter and there's a lot of support and a lot of chit chat, and it's really fun to just be with other crafters. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be that you're spending money to go to a retreat, but maybe just see if there's something around you, some kind of arts and crafts group that you could join. Number 8 is teach someone else to stitch. And this could be a child or a, just somebody that you work with, a relative, a friend, your husband. This week I was like, hey, I should teach you to cross stitch. I was just talking to Steve, and he was like, and I was like, if you cross stitched, what would you do? And he was like, no. I was like, some of the ladies say like, oh, I stitch with my husband all the time and we trade patterns and things. And I said, that sounds so much fun. It's fine. It's not for everybody. I get it. But, see if you can find somebody to pass the love of the craft on. That's how a lot of us got started, is somebody sat down and taught us. And so maybe make it a goal to open this world up to somebody else. Number 9 is consider Stitch Mania. I did Stitch Mania this last year, and I started something 28 or 29 of the days of May. And it was kind of crazy. I think I'm going to alter how I do Stitch Mania this year. I haven't really fully decided yet. So I'm just going to keep my options open. But if you haven't participated in the past, think about participating in some way. And if you have participated in the past, maybe consider changing the way that you do participate. And number 10 idea for goals for 2019 is to do some finishing. And I'm sure a lot of us have projects that are just, done and under the bed or in a drawer or in a bag or something. Even if it's something that you did a long time ago, do some finishing, whether it's making a bag, making a pillow, a pincushion, framing it, doing some kind of a banner or a Priscilla and Chelsea finish, or watch some tutorials by Vanna and make some of her cool flat folds. I find that it's great to do finishing kind of in lumps. So I get out the sewing machine, get out, my scissors and glue gun and glue, whatever, and I get it all on the table, and then I just go through my stash of finished things and just pick out as many as I can and just spend a good Saturday just knocking some finishing out. And it feels really good to have those things done. So those are 10 ideas for 2019. Maybe you have some of your own ideas. But I think your idea also could just be to just continue doing what you're doing. And whatever your 2019 turns out to be, I hope that it's fun and full of stitching. Okay, so I'm going to talk about 3 things in my shop right now. 3 things that are newish. Zero is still hanging out with us. He's a hardcore floss tuber. Right, Z? Right? Oh, I know. And so one of the things is my linen. I've been dyeing linen again this week, and I've got more to do yet this weekend, and I'll have more linen coming next week to dye too. I'm glad to be back at it. I really enjoy it. It's turning out very pretty. I'm kind of trying to do, I was going to do fall colors, and I think I'm going to still do some fall colors. I'd like to do kind of some squash and some pumpkin-y kind of colors. And are you so sweet? But a lot of the colors I've done so far are kind of making me think of Christmas. So let's see if I can. Here's a bunch of what I've done so far. And I think it's turning out really cool. I haven't gone through and checked things for like names or named things yet. But like here's one piece. And you can see it's got kind of those telltale splotches and things. It smells good. It's triple ironed for your convenience. I love the ironing part actually. This is some 36 count in a really pretty, it's showing up really red here, but it's more of just like a dusty cranberry color. And I've got some Adas too. This is one of the Adas. And this one's kind of like an acorny kind of chestnutty color. So look for those on my website. These will probably be up by the time you're watching this video. They sell out pretty quick, but I've got more in process right now, this minute. And I'll have more to do, like I said, next week. So I'm going to keep throwing up some wabi-sabi linen for y'all. And thanks to those of you who are making videos and shouting me out and saying that you like my linen and things. I do too. It turns out just the way I want it to, which is grungy and it looks old. I know. Another thing that I've got is some limited edition Gloriana silks. Anne at Gloriana is so sweet, and she sometimes has colors that she's either experimenting with or they didn't turn out quite the way she needed them to, and so they're at a special price. And I'm going to show just 4 of them here. I got, I don't know how many colors, a whole box full of different colors of silks. And I'm kind of naming each of them as I go just so that I can list each one and then in my mind know which each one is. So like this is the north side of the tree. I think this one I'm calling a night at home or an evening at home. I don't remember, but they're going to be on my site too. And those are kind of just like a when they're gone kind of thing. I think they're really, really cool. And if you haven't used Gloriana silks before, you're missing out. And this is a cheap way to do it. So, you know, get some that you think you'd like to sub in here and there at this really cheap price. I think it works out to pretty much half price. And it's still the same quality. There's nothing wrong with it. There aren't any knots or, you know, fraying or anything like that. It's just that it's a color that is just different than what she needed to be doing. So check out for those. I have a new, I have a new section on my website that's just called silks. And so you can find those and some other things that I've got so far too. I did add a bunch of silken colors from the Thread Gatherer this week as well. I love those as well. Okay, and then the last thing that I'm going to mention from my shop is some frames that I worked on this week with, and Graham helped me out. And I have these charts by Brenda. Brenda G! We love Brenda. She's a great designer. And one of my favorite things that she's done are these, there are 2 little charts called Exemplaire Petite, which just means little sampler. And they're designs by her. They're not reproductions, but they look reproduction-y. Reproduction-y. I'm gonna, let's tip back up. Whoop! Let's do this. Okay, so this is one of them. And you can see they're just kind of little spot motifs except for the one in the big frame there in the middle. And so they'll stitch up really quick. And then another one is this one. And it's the same kind of thing. Little motif samplers and then the big one there with an Adam and Eve. I think they're cute as can be. They're very small. And she has in there information on where to get the frames, which is at Hobby Lobby, and how to go about finishing them so they look like hers. Because you don't buy them where they look like that. They don't look like that. But that's the shape and the size of them. And she had instructions in there for how to finish the frames. And I thought, you know what? I could go get those frames and do the finishing on them according to her directions and then make them available. And so that's what I did. I'll show you a couple of them right now. This is these are the kind of cranberry colored ones, or kind of brick red colored frames. And these are finished per her instructions. And they were really fun to do. And then these are the kind of whitewashy ones. And the thing is, I think a lot of people, you know, see small projects like this, and they get you know, kind of worried about like, how am I going to go about the finishing? That seems like a lot of work because I got to go get the frame. You had to get like an acrylic paint, paint brushes, obviously. Cinnamon is used in the finishing, and then a varnishy kind of a thing is used in the finishing as well. So it's kind of a lot of steps. It makes a mess, and it's just kind of a timely process. So I've got those in my shop right now, where you can order the big frames or the little frames. The little frames come in different iterations, and they're all the same as what she's got on the cover. But the big frame that she used for these is always this frame. So the kind of bricky one and this antique cream one are always the same frame. And so that way, all you have to do is pop them in. Now, I will say that that particular chart calls for 40 count linen. And so if you want to get them to where they fit in those frames, you have to stitch on 40 count linen, because if you stitch on anything bigger, they're not going to fit. As you can see, she's stitched them to where they're very tight. And so you're going to lose pieces of your designs if you can't stitch on 40. Doesn't mean you shouldn't do them. They're lovely pieces. I feel like they kind of got overlooked. And so I just wanted to point that out to you. And I've got the frames in case you are interested. I've got a bunch of them done. I don't even know how many now. I got more yesterday or the day before. And I'll keep painting them up as long as people are interested, but I think they're really cool. I wanted to share something fun with you. And for a while now, I've wanted to do a video about how to buy an antique sampler online. I also have to make my finishing video with sawdust, and that's in the works. But I wanted to point out something that I want you to be careful of. So if you're looking on eBay for an antique sampler, one of the things you really want to watch out for is maybe things that are in that category that are not authentic. Because sometimes you can just tell by looking at something that it's not an antique sampler, even though it's in the antique samplers category. And I would like to share this with you and just see if you can spot what is not an antique sampler. Now, fortunately, this item has been listed several times and no one has been fooled yet. But I feel like at some point, somebody really could get fooled and jump on that item and buy it and just really be disappointed in the end. And I mean, Lay's potato chips are good, but 10-year-old Lay's can't be very good. So I just wanted to share that with you. One of the things that I get kind of tickled about watching FlossTube is how hard it is for people to say goodbye sometimes when they're ending their video. I try to just say like, well, that's all I have, you know, and bye. But you kind of want to keep talking because maybe you keep thinking of more things you want to say, or you're not really sure how to end. And I just love it when people kind of just start not finding their way toward the ending, and they're like, okay, so just, you know, have a great week. Hope you get some stitching done. Just be kind to people, and love yourself, and you know, good luck with this. Oh, and I thought of one more thing I wanted to say, and people just like continue like coming up with things to say. Sometimes it's okay, and there is. I don't remember if I read once that was called like a Midwest goodbye. You know, have you ever been at somebody's house for dinner or something, and then it gets to be time to leave, and you're like, okay, well, I suppose we should go. And then you kind of stand in the door and talk for another half an hour. It's so hard to say goodbye. It's so hard to say goodbye. But I'm doing it. Bye. Okay, I know I said I was saying goodbye, but I just got back from the Lucky Rabbit, and I forgot that I had something else to tell you guys. So, hey, I went to the Lucky Rabbit today, and it was so nice. I really like going there. So I'm going to do a slideshow here in a bit and just kind of talk through what was there. It's really fun to go there, but I'm going to show you what I got. But before that, I forgot one of the things I was going to tell you about what's new in my shop. So I'm going to add a fourth thing. But I got Brenda Key's The Sampler Company charts in, and I'm going to put, let's do this. I'm going to put some of her things here while I'm talking. I used to carry Brenda's charts all the time in my shop, and they're really great. She designs samplers, but then she has some reproductions too. And she just does a really great job, and her charts are not expensive. They're $11.50 a piece. She shipped them super quick. And I just had found that a couple people recently had asked me for them. And I tried to, like, you know, Google and refer them to other shops and things, and we just weren't having any luck coming up with somebody online in the States here that is carrying her charts. So I have them in my shop. So if you look in the categories, you'll see the sampler company listed under more. But then also I wanted to let you know that if I'm adding a what's new button. If you go to the everything button, I don't know if I'll get it done before I post this video. If you go to the everything button, it shows you everything on the site, starting at the newest first and then on down. But I'm going to change the name of everything to what's new, so that if you're just looking for what I've added recently, you can see that really easily. I'm not digging my hair right now. That's the bad thing about, like, I think it would be better. Maybe I should, like, just cover this thing, because I'm just constantly judging myself. So, okay. So Brenda Keys, she's great. And her charts call for mainly DMC, and you can kind of just use whatever fabric you want, but they turn out super cool. I like them all. I got most of, I think maybe there were only 5 of hers or so that I did not order in. And so pretty much if it's one of hers that you've been looking for, I probably have it. And she shipped super quick too. Let me show you what I got at the Lucky Rabbit. This is just in no particular order. I literally am taking it right out of my bag. I did my first, is this my first Save the Stitches? I don't know. It might be. I don't know. Probably technically not. But anyway, I found this Prairie Schooler Santa with the sunflowers. And it was stitched by somebody, no way, T.A., which used to be my initials. My last name used to be Andreski, so that's weird. So T.A. in 1995. I was a TV by then. But the frame is really cool even. It's kind of barnwoody, and it's painted green. So I think I'm gonna refurbish this. I'm gonna take it apart. I like the frame, but I like things framed really tight. So I'm gonna see if I have another frame for this. And I think I'm gonna over dye it with coffee and tea to make it look a little bit grungier. But I do like this frame, and so I can definitely use that for something else. It was only $9.95. So the Lucky Rabbit had lots of Save the Stitchy type of things, and I'll talk through it in just a minute. They have a new shirt. I like to get their shirts. Abby's husband runs a shirt company, you know, like a t-shirt company in town. So they always have really cool t-shirts. And I hadn't seen this one before. They always kind of do, you know, they always kind of do a takeoff on Hattiesburg. So a lot of them will have the word "burg" in it. But it's Cattiesburg. Cattiesburg. It's long sleeves. I think I'll wear it tomorrow for my Stitch With Me. And then, let's see, what else did I get? I got this Christmas ornament, which is a chicken made out of, you know, that metal that silos, or I don't know, barn things are made out of it. I think it's very, very cute. I've kind of gotten to a stage where a lot of my ornaments are looking pretty tough. And every year I always end up, you know, throwing 1 or 2 away just because they're just kind of shot. And so it's, I don't know. I like to get ornaments as a gift, but it just seems like, I don't know. So I got 2 of these, and I don't know if you've seen them before, but people use these to do finishing with. I'm going to get something to show you just so you kind of get the picture of it. This one doesn't use one of those. I think Brenda Gervais may have used them once or twice to do finishing on things, and this is just a, you know, like a door handle or whatever. And so, but it's the same idea where you stand something up using this goes inside whatever you've stitched, and then you've got this cool rusty base. $6.95 and $4.95, which I've looked at them on eBay, and they're surprisingly expensive, even though they're former oil cans. And what is this? Oh, I found a few I found at least one. I haven't bought any of these yet. The wrought iron trivet. This one's got a rooster at the top, which I think is really cool. So I'm going to finish something and put it over, either over this tile or replace the tile with it. It's kind of funny. But I thought the rooster was really cool. That was only $4.75. I'm telling you, there are bargains to be had. I got a little frame, square frame for a couple dollars, but they're just handy, and this is just a painted little square frame. I figured since Christmas was coming up, a white square frame is probably a good idea. And then I got, this is another, oh, this is a pair of trivets. two of the same. They're circular ones, and they're actually kind of cute. The Farmer's Home in Winter. That's actually kind of cute, isn't it? And then the Old Homestead in Winter. Kind of cute the way they are. I wonder if you could make those into ornaments and put them on the tree. It was $6 for the pair. They're kind of cute, aren't they? I mean, I was looking at them in terms of like needlework, making some needlework with them, but it's winter. I mean, it's not like they're not antique or anything, but they're vintage, definitely. It smells kind of metally. And then I got some soap. This JT company makes handmade soap. I think they're local, maybe. But I had this black raspberry vanilla goat's milk soap before. And oh no, this is olive oil soap. But anyway, it's really good. It smells really nice. So that's what I got at the Lucky Rabbit. Okay, so I'm going to take you on a tour of what the Lucky Rabbit looked like right now and do a voiceover. So you thought this video was over, but you can't get away from me that easy. I just pull you right back in. So stay tuned. I had forgotten even that this was the weekend of the Lucky Rabbit up until just a couple of days ago, and I kind of just made a split decision today to just go ahead and go. I think they're having some kind of an event this weekend. I love this tree. I think it's made of buttonhole stitches, and the stitching was pretty impeccable. Probably shouldn't have left that there, maybe. I'll probably think about it. I'll probably look for it next time. There were a lot of really cute decorating ideas. I thought this brass cage with the reindeer in it was really cute, and it makes your decorations kind of cat-proof, don't you think? There was just lush greenery everywhere, and they must sell a lot of these kind of picks and flowers and things, and I bet they look really pretty in trees. That's not anything I've really done, but I would like to. It was really cool to see each booth's color palette. This one was kind of a, you know, silver kind of a palette. This was a cat that was done in crewel, that was beautifully done with the pussy willow in the cup there, or in the pitcher, and I thought it was very, very pretty. And that's another one that I'll probably hope is there next time I go back. Again, this booth was just cram-packed with decorations, and most of it was not vintage. It was just kind of made to look vintage, but it still was really funny to look at. Not funny, fun. These are fun to look at too, but then when I was looking at the pictures, I noticed that all of these Raggedy Anns and Andys are sitting on these dolls' heads at the bottom, and I might need to go fix that too. This was just a clever decorating idea to make a little vignette inside an existing, I mean, that might have just even been a candle, you know, an old glass candle case. In the entrance when you walk in, there's this huge, probably 20-foot tall tree. I don't know how they managed that. It was flocked and decorated with plastic lawn ornaments, which gives you an idea of the scale of the size of it. Again, a flocked tree. Maybe flocked trees are really in this year. They looked really pretty, especially when they have those kind of candy tones, you know, like the light pastel shiny things. Another pretty little feather tree. I kind of would like to get a feather tree. I don't have one. My sister has one and they're very cute. I think the cats would probably tip it over, but what can you do? And here were some giant ornaments. I guess I've never really had a tree that you could put an ornament that big on it, but it would be fun. I thought this display was really cute, the shelving with the sled and the berries up on top. And I remember this shelving unit from earlier this year, but it's funny how you can make something look really Christmassy just by putting decorations in it and doing a few color swap outs. Another shot of the tree in the entryway, just all kinds of stuff stuck in there. I liked the idea of decorating with the cotton bowls. It is something that we see here in the South, and I think they're very pretty. And I know a lot of people have decorated with them recently, and they're just really neat. These, I think, were, I don't know if these were made locally or if that was something that was brought in, but it was kind of just, you know, boards put together to look like Christmas trees, and they were kind of stood up in boxes. I didn't notice that chimney in the front, in the middle there. I wish I had looked at that. I don't know what it is. It's kind of cool. And this I just thought was a really pretty palette with just the creams and off-whites with that china. And the china's not necessarily Christmas china, but it is the right kind of color for Christmas, I think. This picture turned out blurry, but I really liked the navy blue with Christmas. You just don't see that, and you can't change your furniture every time you change holidays, right? So you just have to kind of work with what you got. Again, more beautifulness. All the red berries, all the greenery, just bright, bright, bright and cheery. It's hard to kind of be crabby too much when you're in the middle of all this pretty, pretty decorating. Well, it's getting to be just about time for me to go. That was in a kids booth, I guess, kids clothing, which is really cute. And I'm sorry that I kind of elongated your time with me, but that's kind of how it goes, guys. I mean, I thought I was done, but I wasn't done. But I had to show you it. Look on the right-hand side at that guy with the beard. It's like a hipster wise man. Very pretty. And so now I'm in the mood for Christmas. Bye, guys.